Welcome to Service Headline News. I am your host, Marty Smith, and I'm joined by Eric Perrott.
Good evening, fellas. What's going on?
And Jake Wall.
Hey, guys. Good to see you again.
And we're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all servicemen and women. So sit back, get informed, and have a laugh as the Swearing In Podcast presents Service Headline News. Fellas, we are joined today by Rob Williams and Seth Rodenbaugh from the Ashes Radio and About Face Media. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you guys with us.
Nice.
It is an honor, isn't it? You are honored, aren't you?
Well, once you're honor, stay honor, right? Now, since you guys are guests I haven't done a previous interview with, could you go over your military career for us? So just so we know who we're talking to.
Rob first.
Well, I got to go first. Is it because of the beard? You can tell me. Is it because of the hair? Come on, man. You can tell me.
You fit.
Yeah.
Rob, I'd say go first. You're good.
Hey, so I joined the Army in 96.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a hot minute ago. I actually spent a little bit of time in the Connecticut Army National Guard. And that's where I went through basic training and whatnot with them. That's because I dropped out of high school. So yeah, and then went active duty. I went to a place called Baumholder, Germany. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, Baumholder. Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yes, the hay fever capital of the world.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we had a really good time there. Yes, it was literally the hay fever capital of the world. So yeah, good times there.
What was your MOS? What was your MOS?
I was a medic. I've been a medic my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah. So well, I was a paramedic before I joined the Army. So I never got to go to AIT. So I went to basic training and right to my duty station.
Oh, lucky you.
So yeah, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't too bad. I mean, from what I hear, I missed the best party of my entire life. So, medic AIT is legendary for debauchery. Let's put it that way.
And you would have been old enough to buy them all beer. So.
Oh, well, not at that time I wasn't, but yeah, you're not far off. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to use words like whippersnapper, but yeah, I was a little bit younger. But yeah, so did that. That was an armor battalion thing, and then became a flight medic and flew all over the place. Went to Iraq with the 571st Medevac Company out of Fort Carson, Colorado, the most decorated aviation unit in all of military history. Excuse me, American military history. Did that for a little while, and then taught at Fort Sam Houston, which is kind of weird because I was never there as a student, but I got to go there and teach some medics. Basically, I taught like lessons learned, like, hey kids, here's what I screwed up. Don't you screw it up. And then got selected for JSOC, spent some time at JSOC as a medic, and then rounded out the career, spending some time as a healthcare recruiter, putting nurses and doctors in the Army.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Nice.
Seth? Wasn't bad.
How about you, Seth?
All right. So, let's see here. September 12th, 2001, I was sitting at the MEP station. So the day after.
Beautiful. Yep,
absolutely. I was privileged enough to get Hawaii as my first duty station. It was my first, last, and only. I just spent a lot of time there. Marty, what unit were you in?
Me? I was artillery. I was with the 1st Battalion 8th Field Artillery.
Yep, I know where you're at. So I went to basic, went to got my Hawaii duty station, went to 235 infantry. I'm an infantry guy. I was lucky enough to, about a week after I got there, they had selection for the scout sniper section. So I spent almost all of my career in some sort of sniper section or running squad designated marksmanship program for the 25th. A lot of long range looking through glass in my career. And then I came into OEF at the end of OEF 2, was there through OEF 3. Had a pretty rough, one of those long early deployments. And so I got back, 3rd Brigade tried to medboard me. So I did everything I could to get across the street and go to 2nd Brigade. So I became a wolfhound. I was with 127, hiding from a P3 and trying to get deployed again. I made it about 3 years or so, and I was doing medical clearances to go to Iraq. And my old brigade surgeon saw me and was like, "Hey, the fuck are you doing in the Army? And I'm like, being in the Army, man. Just being all I can be.
Yeah.
So I got and they fully retired me. And that was in 2009. I then just moved back to Colorado, and now I enjoy the life of I own a jiu-jitsu academy, which has been my hobby my whole life. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 23 years now.
Very cool.
Do a lot of jiu-jitsu. Do the radio show with Rob, try and work with as many nonprofits and fundraisers and podcasts and everything we can to reach out and help keep our veteran brotherhood upright.
Well, I think that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Unfortunately, our podcast doesn't really help anybody. Hopefully, it helps with some humor.
That's not what I heard when I listened.
So we try to take the lighter side. So hopefully we can give another side of the whole coin.
Look, both listeners love your show.
And I got to force my wife every once in a while. So not only to listen, but maybe some other things too. So, hey, talk to us about Face Media and From the Ashes podcast, or From the Ashes Radio. Sorry.
Well, so I'll pick up on About Face. So About Face Media, basically what we do, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. And so we are a nonprofit foundation, and basically what we do is we take service members, veterans, and first responders who are trying to transition out of those careers and move on to something in broadcast media. We give them a microphone, a laptop, and our station, and say, go forth and do good things. Tell your story. It doesn't have to be your military story. If you want to talk about fishing, if you want to talk about hunting, if you want to talk about, your OnlyFans account, you can talk about whatever it is that you want to. And we have some of the best media professionals I have ever had the pleasure of working with. Guys like Max Waite, who are an Air Force veteran, who our people are all over the world because we're internet based. And so Max Waite broadcasts out of St. Louis, Missouri. We got people down in Texas doing amazing things. We got people up here in Colorado that are doing spinning tables and making music and doing some great stuff. We literally just 2 weeks ago changed the name from About Face Radio to About Face Media because people are writing books, people want to produce movies, people want to produce short films, things like that. So we had to kind of expand a little bit. Nice. So yeah, About Face Media is basically going to be taking veterans into the future as far as I'm concerned.
That's awesome.
It's very cool.
And we'll put links to all that in the description so people can reach out, and go see what you're doing. I've seen
they can find us on the web. We're easy to, if you just Google www.pornhub.com, will pop right up, and you can search for anything you're looking for in the search bar, and we are happy to help.
Really?
It's funny. I've never seen it.
And in fact,
no kidding.
In about 30 minutes.
It's a family website.
On flags. I don't believe it. Flags on the field everywhere.
Probably a lot of family action, I guess.
There is a lot. Some step parents. They have a different relationship than I was used to as a step parent. So yeah.
Impressive.
I saw. I don't know who that comedian was. I saw, but he had a great line. He said he was in a porn once. He played the guy who leaves for work. That was pretty good. That was a good line. So, great. We'll put links to From the Ashes, About Face, and I'd love to put a link in there for your jiu-jitsu, Seth, if that's okay.
I'll send that.
Seth, tell them about From the Ashes, homeboy.
So From the Ashes it is literally from the ashes. Rob had the privilege of working on this other podcast in the past that I was a guest on a few times, and due to a stolen valor turd burglar, Rob very honorably left that podcast, and we were like, let's do our own. And I had called him, and I sent him a picture of my DD-214. I was like, bro, you've known me for a while. I don't think you trust me, but I can prove my shit.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, we started, the From the Ashes show, and then it just turned into a much bigger thing where, all the old people or all the old DJs from the past platform came over with us. We added more. Yeah, we got a bunch of new like people that had established good podcasts come aboard with us. So yeah, it's really great. But the From the Ashes show, we do about an hour and a half. We're about to go to an hour and a half bit because we just have too many guests. We're booked out for months, and bring on guests, talk about whatever it is that they do, whether it be a nonprofit or just for example, last night we had on Guitars for Veterans, which is a nonprofit. They teach veterans how to play the guitar and then give them a guitar. We've had people just come on and talk about their transition from military to civilian life, or veteran life. I don't think we're ever a civilian again. We're veterans. And we just try and, again, just bring a lot of information. We have a VSO on the show that comes on every week and talks about new stuff with the VA, new changes to compensation and pension things, educational benefits. We talked about, even when we die, we get to give our wives dick. That is,
I see. That's right. I remember that conversation.
We have a legal team that comes on at the end and gives a little bit of legal advice that is, I believe, relevant to the veteran community and active duty community. We don't just do veteran and military. We do first responders. So we have some law enforcement guys come on, firefighters and programs that are, applicable to them. That's pretty much us.
Good stuff.
Well, and I ran into your podcast. I think that's when I reached out to you guys. You guys have been doing it obviously long enough. You're very comfortable doing it. It's fun to watch, especially when you guys are just kind of killing time, trying to figure out what
that happens a lot. That happens way too often.
We do that a lot here. I just got the benefit of editing out. So, but you guys, it's fun to watch you. It seems like you're really plugged in with a big community. And some of the things you provide out there, I wasn't necessarily in need of them, but I know some who are, and you put some references and some advice that's really invaluable. It's really cool. And that's why I reached out to you. I'm glad you guys came on the show, class our show up a little bit, and see where we go.
Bad news, dog.
Yeah, it's bad news.
I even dressed up.
Well, we'll see how it goes. But thanks for coming on. Feel free to chime in when you want, crack-wise, as we go to Eric for this day in U.S. military history.
So, gentlemen,
You added the U.S. because the other day it wasn't military history, and you were like, "Oh."
Well, that was because that's why I brought that one. We talked about the assassination of Martin Luther King the other day because I felt that was important, regardless of military.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I usually throw out a date for these guys and ask them, "Are you aware of what occurred on that date?" And both of them are clueless. So tonight I'm not going to do that. Well, I sort of am. I'm going to bring up, this occurred on April 11th. The year was 1900. And I'm not going to say anybody got a clue or any idea because I know you're not going to get it. So on April 11th, 1900, the U.S. Navy, Jake, I'm going to talk about the Navy tonight, so ease up. On April 11th, 1900, the U.S. Navy acquired its first submarine.
Oh, shit.
It was designed by Irish immigrant John P. Holland.
I used to go to the submarine races when I was a kid.
I'm not sure if you'd have wanted to crawl in this thing. It was propelled by gasoline while on the surface and by electricity when submerged. The Holland served as a model for modern submarine design, and by the eve of World War I, the Holland and the Holland-inspired vessels were part of a large naval fleet throughout the world. So, 1900, April 11th, gentlemen.
That's amazing. And here we are today with 120 men going to sea in a submarine and 60 couples coming back. It's amazing.
I was just going to say, mark that date, April 11th, 1900. When we sent seamen deeper than they've ever gone before.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Well, I think about what propels ours now. Nuclear powered subs, you know what I mean? Things that could destroy the world under the water cruising around.
Yeah, that's
along
true.
with other armament and munitions. So we've come a long ways.
Absolutely.
What was the
The
name of
Navy
it?
has stuff
Eric?
that we have.
I'm glad I was in the era I was rather than that era.
Yeah, no
Oh,
kidding.
I'm not man enough for those days.
Well, yeah, it's weird to look back and maybe there's a term for it, but we look back and you're like, they had fucking electric submarine in 1900? What the
1900.
fuck? Yeah. So
This guy was pretty smart. But this is like, the first time they had open heart surgery. Hey, man, you want to be the first guy to get in this tin can and submerge down to about 40 feet? We'll take it.
I mean, the first parachute, can you imagine? Our grandparents were badasses. I say this all the time.
Right.
Yeah, both of my grandfathers are Korean War vets. So
Oh,
they
shit.
they even missed World War II. But can you imagine that first guy? You're like, hey, who wants to step out of an airplane with a piece of cloth over your head?
Yeah, it's gonna
Let's see
right.
what happens. That's amazing to me.
But like I'll be the second guy if that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
When that first guy hits the ground and walks away,
Then I'll jump.
I'll consider. I'll consider.
Jacob, what branch of service were you, bud?
I was Air Force 21 years.
Damn, how do you do 21 years in the Air Force?
It was easy, man. I had air conditioning, bars,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
His
Well, man, you
knees
guys
are
gave us some
his
great
knees are
lists.
still
Everywhere we need to
good.
go.
His back
Yeah.
is still good. He can still hear.
Army guy walking around with the damn
Yeah. Pimp cane.
So Eric was he retired. He was security forces, but not just your run of the mill security forces. So he did.
Oh,
What was it? What was that team you were on? I can never remember the name of that team that you.
there was a lot of things. I went to Marine Corps Patrol School. We talked about air-based ground defense. So when the Army took off from protecting our perimeter, we started teaching Air Force cops to be the infantry of the Air Force. So I got to do a lot of training, did some stuff with the Marine Corps. I see the snicker there, Rob. Come on.
You said the infantry of the Air Force. That's like being the prettiest ballerina in Texas. No one cares, man.
You're right. I still had to dig a foxhole and know the Army nomenclature of a foxhole. So did some pretty cool stuff as a cop.
Yeah. Now, in all fairness, Eric went to Grenada and Panama, so got a little sniper fire there for a little while, but he came back in one piece.
And
Jake-
Rob, I'm a little older than you, brother.
Well done. Well done. Very well done. Panama and Grenada, you said?
Yeah, I was in both.
Wow, man. Well,
Yeah.
very well done.
Thanks for your service.
No,
Yes.
you, man. Thanks.
Jake was avionics. He started on A-10s. They flopped him over to. Did they flip you over to F-16s?
No, I trained on F-16s.
Oh, and they
for,
flipped you to
aircraft
A-10s,
development.
right?
Yeah.
Then he saw
Yeah,
the
so I
light,
did
went
a
over to
4 years
space.
with
So
That's kind of cool.
My favorite organization, space.
I think that stuff's kind of cool. I mean, I'm not smart enough to do any of that stuff, but I think that stuff's cool.
it's cool.
Well, you don't have
except
to
with
be.
the
You just
space
sit in front of
force.
a monitor and look at it.
All right, let's jump into it, gentlemen. Our first story from sandbox.us is researchers want to prevent injuries in soldiers before they happen. So when I first read this story, I was like, oh, they're going to put like impact sensors on. They're going to measure the stress of ruck marching and all that shit. No, it's not that. So I know I was really disappointed the more I read into this thing. A research project which has been conducted through Uniformed Services University with the help of soldiers from the 82nd Airborne Division aims to use body-worn sensor devices to predict where injuries are about to happen and prevent them. The initiative is one of more than 40 research projects being conducted through the MIRROR project, which is an acronym for Musculoskeletal Injury Rehab Research for Operational Readiness. Terrible acronym, like they all are.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's a really hard
Those
for me.
great ones.
I'm 3 Modelos in and I can't say it. The Sensor-Focused Injury Prevention Project launched in 2021 with the ambitious goal of determining a soldier's risk of injury. Here's where it gets a little alarming to me.
Marty,
Yeah.
if you say that, I think they should have said, Seth, come talk to us. So you could give them some ideas.
Well, but here, let me read this article, and you'll see how it really drops from some hopeful stuff to really one that I think may be a little bit scary. So they're trying to measure the knee in this study alone. They're just trying to measure the knee. At Fort Bragg, paratroopers were offered the chance to volunteer during their airborne integration course, which is a week-long in-processing that includes familiarization and fitness tests. Before they conducted the movement test, volunteers answered questions about past injuries to hips, knees, ankles, and feet. For a year after the 10-minute movement test is administered, mirror researchers will follow the medical records of those who participated to see if, in fact, they sustain any injuries. So basically, they had them do like a shuttle run. They put these knee sleeves on them with sensors, and they had to do them like a shuttle run, stand on one foot, a couple different like balance moves, and they measured range of motion and all that kind of stuff. So this is a part that's alarming. It's not clear if soldiers participating in the study were informed about any prospective injury risk that might be identified. So they're taking these readings and say, oh, this guy's one leg is longer than the other, or he's got weak ACLs or something. So he may be susceptible to injury. The part that they said, well, we're not sure if they told the soldiers, hey, you may get injured because we see your right knee is weak.
So no prevention.
That's kind of shitty pool if they didn't tell them, right? They're like, don't tell them. We'll just see in a year what happens.
To see if it actually turns out.
Yeah. If the symmetry test does not turn out to be a good injury predictor, the next step will be for Pentagon officials to develop a program that works with at-risk service members to strengthen problem areas and build up balance and agility. This could involve work with a physical or athletic trainer, as well as targeted exercises for solo practice, according to the release. Now, the thing that popped up in my head, maybe I'm too conspiratorial, but can you see this turning into, oh, we measured your knees and you're not going to be able to do airborne. We're going to turn you away.
Worse, significantly worse. Come on, man, put your tinfoil hat on.
Impacting your disabilities at the end of your career.
Oh,
look who get.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
That's even
Well,
worse.
Your balance was uneven when you came in, so any knee injury is not our fault.
It's not our fault. This belongs to you. Your leg was shorter than the other.
Oh man, that's it's going to go that way. I mean,
yeah.
Jake and I were both in space. And one of the things to get into space, you had to go through this flight dock, and he used pilot rules for ruling you out of space. Now, granted, if you're colorblind, you couldn't see the consoles. You have to make differentiation between colors. So that disqualifies you. But they had a host of other shit that disqualified you that was really ticky-tack. If they're doing that for space and they got these kind of research projects going,
oh yeah,
that's trouble, man.
Seth, do you remember when the assessment came out for head injuries? So if you got blown up, the medic had this card, and he'd ask you like 4 words and 5 numbers and stuff like that, and it transitioned into this like computer test that you had to take before you deployed. Do you remember that? Were you in when that was going on?
I didn't do it before I was deployed, but I did the computer test where you push the X's and Y's.
Yeah.
But it was after the fact.
I had
Rob, are you talking about where they were trying to get a baseline before you went over there? Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, they did that to all of us.
So I had a couple of guys, barrel-chested freedom fighters, who refused to take those tests. They're like, I am not sitting in front of that computer. It's not happening, because they were worried about 2 things. One, that they were going to take that test and it was going to be exposed that they already had head injuries and they wouldn't be able to deploy with their team.
Yeah.
And they were putting their disability at risk when they retired from the military.
Yep.
So yeah,
I can
all
see
of that
this
stuff.
Yeah, this evaluation is going to be one of the same, I'm thinking.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're
Well,
not
what
going
was
to do
that?
anything for us, man.
But just like that, they shot it down, right? Congress shot it down. That was in the budget thing where they were going to decrease your level of disability pay by your gross pay. They voted that down, right?
Seth dug into that a little deeper. What did you find when you dug into it, Seth?
For which now?
The
The
disability
one
pay.
where
They were going to reduce
if
their
you
disability pay 'cause they made
and your
too
wife
much?
made over 150,000, they were going to start taking away from your disability.
I think it was 170 was
Okay.
the. I think I dove into it a little bit,
you're
and
right.
I was so disgusted and irritated with the whole concept that I wasn't going to.
I think they voted against that. I think they said we're not going to do that. But
They did.
just
They
the
voted
fact,
it, but yeah, you're right, Marty. It's the fact that they brought it up in the first place.
yeah. And then you have those.
How did that make it off of somebody's desk?
So what I brought up about it is they just blanketed. Let's just pick a fucking number, right? They didn't say, if you live in Kentucky, or I have a farm in Beaver City, Nebraska. If you take $170,000 a year in Beaver City, Nebraska, and you compare that to Waikiki, Hawaii,
Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
Denver, Colorado, there was no thought process behind this whatsoever. And something else I always like to say is, your VA compensation and pension, it's not VA disability. This is VA compensation.
That's a good point.
This is like workman's comp. This is, hey, I have fucking hardware and scars and shit. My wrist doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
That's not from me when I was 18 mountain biking. That's from me getting blown up. Okay.
Right.
So it's their responsibility to compensate for what they damaged on me. That's it. And it shouldn't have anything to do with how successful I have become as a civilian or how successful my wife might be.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So I would
exactly.
emasculate our veterans by saying, hey, your wife is very successful, so we're going to take away your pocket money from all the things we caused to your body.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, it
that's
doesn't
so
make your
devious.
knee work any better. My wife being as successful doesn't make my knee work any better. This shouldn't have nothing to do with it.
Or it doesn't bring your limb back, or it doesn't bring your nightmare. It doesn't make your nightmares go away. So
See, Marty, this is why I talk to you. You get it.
it's so dumb. And then we turn around and we give the most crooked European country in the world, $200 billion.
France?
Like,
Yep. Riot season's coming up. I gotta get prepared.
Yeah, you want to stretch. You don't want to pull a hammy mid-riot.
Yeah.
that's right. Get your yellow vest. All right, good. That was the conclusions I had. I'm glad to see that we're in a group that we all think the same. So, all right, moving on.
Yeah,
An
our government hates us.
Hate them back. It works for me. Okay, so a good story here from taskandpurpose.com. A Marine trio was honored for foiling, love that word, for foiling stabbing at a Virginia Chick-fil-A. Now, I'm going to ask both Seth and Eric later in this story to elaborate on some of the moves that these guys did. But 3 newly minted Marine security guards were honored on Thursday, April 6th, for stopping 2 suspects from stabbing another person with a knife at a Virginia Chick-fil-A. Corporal John Darby, Corporal Bradley Feldkamp, and Lance Corporal Nicholas Durall received the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal at a ceremony held at the Marine Corps Embassy Security Group's headquarters in Quantico, Virginia. All 3 Marines had completed their training to become Marine security guards on March 9th at Marine Corps Base Quantico and were waiting for visas and flights to their posts at the time of the April 1st incident. So basically, they were snowbirding for, a month, which unfolded at a Chick-fil-A restaurant in North Stafford, Virginia. The Stafford County Sheriff's Office credits 3 Marines with breaking up a fight after 2 teenagers who were 14 and 17 years old allegedly attacked another teenager. During the fight, one of the assailants pulled out a knife. Corporal Durall said that he and 2 other Marines decided to stop by the Chick-fil-A before getting haircuts. That's when the 2 teenagers became aggressive with the third person. After the 3 of them got in a brief argument, one of them knocked into a woman. So Durall went over to check on her. And then when he turned around, he saw the knife and he just reacted. So faced with the armed attacker, Durall's Marine security guard training on defensive tactics instantly kicked in and he grabbed the base of the teenager's wrist to disarm him. Hold on a second. Let me bring this up real quick. So here is and it looked like it was a butcher knife. Okay, so that's the knife, right? Whoop. Yeah, it's like a butcher knife. He's walking around with a butcher knife.
We've all been there.
I guess so. Doral said, I had my left hand on basically the back of the blade and the top of the hilt of the knife. When I was pushing down and twisting, since I had the blade basically in my hand, when I was twisting it, I guess I put so much pressure down there, I was able to snap the knife. Once I snapped the knife, that's how I was able to yell, Darby, grab the blade.
Did this kid come after Doral with the knife?
No, I think they were trying to stab the other kid, and maybe he got him in mid-stab or something. It doesn't describe a whole lot. It just describes that. So I don't know if he grabbed the top of the knife and grabbed his wrist and maybe broke it. I don't know. Is that a move?
Before Seth goes into great detail about how these fire-breathing Americans, these barrel-chested freedom fighters, decided to, throw some freedom down. Are we going to talk about how these young men decided to go for a cool, relaxing lunch at some Jesus chicken?
Yeah. and brought their own knife.
It's peanut oil. It's peanut oil chicken, man. It's the best chicken out there.
Best soggy sandwich ever.
Mom and Dad said, run down to Chick-fil-A with my butcher knife and cut up a few pieces for us.
The Nuggins were calling.
It sounds like maybe this should have happened out of Popeyes, maybe just down the street, but it happened at Chick-fil-A. So
I went to Popeyes like 2 days ago, and I almost thought I was going to get stabbed. I was using the drive-through.
He's only in the car with his kid,
but it was worth it, wasn't it?
Yeah, Popeyes 2-piece Tuesday is always worth it. It's always worth it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now I'm not really sure. I think these guys were embassy guards too, so not just your run-of-the-mill guard training. So, but Eric, I don't know if you went through any of that kind of stuff. Seth, obviously, you know some of that stuff. And I was going to ask, how much street stuff does your jujitsu translate into?
Not at all.
That depends on whose jujitsu it is. So I never wrestled, never did any ground fighting, but I did martial arts from the time I was 4 all the way through, kickboxing, boxing in high school. I had no interest in fucking rolling around doing jiu-jitsu. I wanted to fight in the UFC cage.
Oh,
and
shit.
I had no ground. So it's not like you just jump into wrestling when you're 20 years old. So I went to a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and my entire focus was self-defense and things that work in a cage. So I personally am way into the functional stuff that works on the street.
Yeah.
And then I also do disarming techniques and arrest procedures and things like that. So I am very I've dove down that rabbit hole very much so.
Dived it in.
But I will not even make fun of these Navy guys for being in the Navy. I'll commend them for what they did. I will say my opinion all the time on disarming a knife guy is shoot him or shoot him with a taser.
Yeah.
Yeah, impressive. They did. Nobody got hurt. Yeah. That was awesome.
Right.
That's the best part.
Marty, to answer your question, I never had any type of specialized disarming hand-to-hand. I know even Marines now during their basic training have a lot more hand-to-hand, a little more contact than we ever did. Mine was very basic. I have nothing.
I'm pretty sure the best part is the Polynesian sauce, Seth.
If I'm with Seth, if I'm that close that I have to touch this guy's knife, I'm too close. I'm backing off, pulling my knife, and I'm taking care of business.
We talked about this a couple months ago. It's like one of the
purple nipple run.
Say it again, Jake.
Jake, say that again.
Space Force only taught us to purple nurple and run.
Because it works on aliens.
Oh yeah. Right for the nippies.
But it's funny, we were talking about like movie things they get wrong, and one of the things they get wrong is they're always like, you Army guys all know how to fight. And I was like, are you fucking kidding? They taught us they taught us punji sticks or pugil sticks. That was it, man. We didn't know how to fight. Nobody taught us how to fight. So but that was cool. Thank Thanks for filling that in, Seth. But listen to where these three guys were just about to go. So all three of these Marines,
The strip club.
well, right after that, all three of these Marines will soon go to their posts overseas. Gunnery Sergeant Bragg said Darby and Feldkamp are expected to leave on Thursday for the U.S. Embassy in Abuja, Nigeria. And Dural is scheduled to leave next week for the U.S. Embassy in Brazzaville, Republic of the Congo.
Oh, God.
I know.
Garden spots, man. Garden spots.
No kidding, man. Butcher knives all over those places, man.
Suddenly that tent in the middle of the field in Grafenwehr doesn't sound so terrible.
Thor Poke is looking better and better.
Hey, when
Better
you
and
walk
better.
over and get some Robin Hood, you're not too bad, right? You're not too bad. All right, so now it's going to be the first of its kind. So since I have two Air Force vets and two Army vets on the show, we're going to have a little quiz to see which pair knows more about the other service.
Oh, boy.
And since I did half my career in the Army and half in the Air Force, I get to be your quiz master, right? So we'll do
Just wanted
three.
the title.
Goddamn right.
Yep.
So we're going to do three questions, one at a time for each of you, and we'll see how we finish. And I've got a tiebreaker if we need it. And we might do it anyway, because I think it was on old studying material for getting the E5 anyway. So,
Jake, you got my back, right?
I got nothing.
oh, shit. This might be this may be a 0-0 game all the way down, but we'll see. We'll see how
It's gonna
strict
look
I.
like a World Cup match.
Yeah, yeah, no shit. We're fucking Army and Air Force soccer 0-0 tie. How exciting! All right, ready? The first question is for the Air Force. You guys ready?
Wait. Can we call a friend?
No, you can't fucking call nobody.
No, besides you're in the Air Force, man. You ain't got no friends. Come on, man. Who are you gonna call?
Jake. I'm gonna call Jake, man.
All right, well,
Call
you better
Jake.
call him. All right, which light fighter Army division is nicknamed Tropic Lightning? I'm wearing a shirt.
Yeah, I was wondering what that
Yelled
was.
at him.
Wasn't that
Who fired as quizmaster?
Oh,
I
I wish
thought it
I
was
wish.
some throwback Arizona State.
I wish I had a buzzer, but you guys' time is up. It's the 25th Infantry Division.
Oh,
Boo on the
He
Air,
goes, oh.
boo on the Air Force. All
Would
right,
have never known.
first question for the Army. The Global Positioning System, GPS, has become one of the most vital assets to the U.S. military. Where is the GPS constellation flown from?
Face.
Where is the GPS constellation flown from?
It's in Colorado.
Oh shit.
Well, you only got two. I mean, it's either
Yeah.
Buckley or NORAD.
Buckley.
Almost.
Oh,
That's not bad. That's a good guess.
there's
But
also
it's,
those. What are those two? The
So,
strings. There's Peterson.
I
And what's
thought
the
there
other
was
one?
no.
I don't know.
help
What's the other one?
There's Peterson and that other dump. What's it called?
It is a dump.
it isn't.
And we've all been there. It is a dump.
Yeah, right. Crap. I can't think of the name of the other
Ah,
one. It's
too much time. Schriever Air Force Base, Colorado.
Schriever Air Force Base.
That's right. All right.
Man,
well
what
on
a
our
nice
way.
place.
We're well on our way to a 0-0 tie here. Question two for the Air Force. Army helicopters are named after Indian tribes. Name 4 Indian names for Army helicopters.
Blackhawk,
Apache, Chinook.
Kiowa.
Holy
well
shit,
done.
you pulled out Kiowa.
Wow.
Whoa. Well, one for
That's
the
an
Air
old Stinger
Force.
troop. I'm an old Stinger troop. You
Oh,
had to know
that's
what
right.
you-
Yeah, that's right. I guess so.
That five.
That dude is sitting in Kiowa, Colorado right now broadcasting.
That's perfect. Question 2 for the Army. What are the names for the F-16, F-15, F-22, and the A-10?
The A-10 is the Warthog. The F-22 is the Raptor. The F-15. F-15 Tomcat? Is it the Tomcat?
No, that's Navy.
Help. Help me out here, one shot.
I got A-10 Warhog, and that was it.
Oh shit! I thought you guys would know it. No close air support. You guys calling it?
Yeah, the A-10.
Well, you got one right. F-15 Eagle, right? F-16 Falcon, F-22. Oh, you got the Raptor right. You got two. Right?
They got two.
Yeah,
they got two.
But the A-10 is the Thunderbolt. Actually,
A-10 is the Warthog, bro.
that's
No,
a
it's
Thunderbolt
actually
2. Actually,
it's called the Warhog, but
yeah.
Oh,
It's the
really?
nickname of the Warthog. Yeah.
That's just one of the nicknames we give to the Air Force.
That's right. Wow, the Air Force pulled in the lead by 1.
Woo!
All right. Here's gonna
Huge surprise. The Air Force is smarter. Wow.
Yeah,
who couldn't
well,
see that one coming?
here's gonna separate both of y'all. All right. Question 3 for the Air Force. What rank is an E8 in the Army?
All right, let me think about that for a minute.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
Nope,
You have 30 seconds. 10 of those are gone.
Master Sergeant or Sergeant Major?
Well,
No,
what's,
Master
what,
Sergeant. I go Master Sergeant.
what's your answer?
Master Sergeant?
It is
What do you
Master
think,
Sergeant.
Master
It
Sergeant?
is Master Sergeant. I'll give you that.
You only know that because you watched Sergeant Bilko like a week ago.
No, it was Sergeant Holka, the big toe.
He was a sergeant
Sergeant
first
Bilko, I mean,
class. He was
Master
he's
Sergeant.
an E7.
Sergeant Bilko is one of the most accurate Army movies ever made.
Sergeant Bilko. God. All right. Question 3 for the Army. What rank is an E7 in the Air Force?
shenanigans. Come on.
Well, so an E5 is a staff sergeant. An E6 is a tech sergeant. So an E7 is a raging homosexual?
Close. Close.
I don't feel raging.
Same. It's the only crossover we have.
It's
isn't it?
the same. It's just
Is
the
it
Air
really?
Force. Yeah, it's the same. It's a Master Sergeant as well.
I come back to my ballerina comment.
Air Force mastered it earlier.
But that's because when they did Air Force rank, they were like little brother, right? Air Force was little brother. Like, we got to get it sooner. We got to get it sooner. All right, let's do it this way. This last question, and you probably all ran across it. The winner of this question takes the championship. Okay, throw the scores out. This is your toss-up question. And when you know it, so I'm throwing it out to all of you. When you know it, shout out your branch so I know
Raise
who
your
it
hand.
is. Right? Okay. All right. What is in the gold ball on top of military flagpoles?
Go ahead, Seth.
Okay,
45.
Army. What is
It's
it?
called a truck. The gold ball is called a truck, and
Right.
there is a 45 in.
There's two other
45, a
things
razor
in there.
blade, and a match.
Oh, Army pulls it out at the end. Look at that. They answered first. What can I say? They answered
You only
first.
have the pointy things on the top of our flagpole.
That was an
Those
SQT question. You know that was an
things,
SQT
and he
question.
makes the hand motion.
I will say, though, gentlemen, the Air Force did answer more questions about the Army, but the reason why is because God created the Army so all the other branches would have heroes to look up to and research about.
That's hard to argue,
It's
hard to argue.
Learned fact.
right? You know.
I hope you guys feel good about yourselves beating up on two handicap guys.
Oh shit.
Real solid. Real good.
I
Hey,
don't feel bad at all. Sorry.
Oh,
Not having hair is not a handicap, and if it is, they got you double. So
Yeah, right. That's
All
all
right.
right.
let's move on to our all military, and it looks like we're pretty good on time. So let's move on to our all military selection. This week it's machine guns. Rob and Seth, you'll listen to our arguments and decide on which weapon you think should be chosen as the all military machine gun, or you can override us completely and choose your own. Our previous selections are our all military battleship was the USS New Jersey. Our tank was the M4 Sherman. Our fighter jet was the F-15 Eagle. Our rifle was a Spencer rifle. Our Air Force general was Hap Arnold. Our dog, our all-military dog, was Sergeant Stubby from World War I. And last week, based on the comments we received, our all-military animal is Staff Sergeant Reckless from the U.S. Marine Corps, presented by Jake Wall. Well done, Jake.
Freaking horse.
I was saying that was the horse, wasn't it? I heard that.
That was the horse. Yeah, that was the horse. And went back and forth 51 times on its own.
Yeah.
That's still pretty
Ammunition one
badass.
way, bodies the other
Body's
way.
the other way. That's pretty badass.
Myself.
Johnny wasn't a smart horse. It was a dumb horse. That's why he kept coming back.
Your fucking camel. Nobody was going to choose your camel. The camel that fed like a squad of guys.
Well, that's why he freaking should have been chosen, man.
He was
Fed
eaten
the-
instead. He was eaten. Okay,
right,
so
next
machine
up.
guns. I'm going to go first. I chose the Browning
Wait, wait,
automatic
wait. Why are you going first?
because I have the least
Why?
likely one to win. So I'm going first.
I have the microphone, and you will listen to everything I say.
That's right. I could mute him, but I've done that in the past, and the guy never came
I
back.
get it. I get it.
So I'm going with the Browning automatic rifle, or the BAR, which was produced in the U.S. in 1918. It was one of the most influential and frequently used machine guns ever designed. The BAR is a gas-operated rifle, chambered for various ammo, but mostly 30-06. It has a 20-round magazine and weighs over 20 pounds. The BAR can fire up to 650 rounds per minute, but it can also shoot single shots or bursts of 2 to 3 to increase accuracy. It can be fired from the shoulder, mounted, or on a bipod. The BAR was used by World War I, II, and the Korean War. Eventually, M60 replaced it during the Vietnam War. For nearly 50 years, a hard-hitting mobile Browning automatic rifle served in U.S. infantry units as a light squad automatic base of fire weapon, providing quick bursts of concentrated fire. A War Department official commenting on the BAR's use said, "The rifle was highly praised by our officers and men who had to use them, although these guns received hard usage, being on the front for days at a time in the rain, and when the gunners had little opportunity to clean them, they invariably functioned well." Soon the French army began swapping their light machine gun with the BARs. In Europe, in World War II, they had doctrine where they had one BAR per squad, but then everybody wanted a BAR. In the Pacific, the BAR was a staple weapon of Marines who used it in jungle warfare and during island hopping campaigns. In both theaters, one of the BAR's most interesting uses was as an anti-sniper weapon. Once troops identified a sniper's position, a rifleman with the BAR could pepper the hide with automatic fire more precisely than machine guns or submachine guns. In Vietnam, special operators sometimes selected the BAR as their personal weapon. The BAR, a weapon designed almost a century ago to bring portable and reliable firepower to the stalemate of the Western Front, remains an influential firearm that still turns heads today. Go ahead and beat that.
Okay. So for the judges, one discrepancy here.
You kissing ass
The
already.
name of the bar is a Browning automatic rifle.
Don't.
Doesn't say machine gun. Okay.
It's a
just
light
one-
machine gun, for God's sake.
It's a discrepancy. I just wanted to point that out to the judges. So my selection has no rival. The Ma Deuce, the M2 50 caliber machine gun.
Mm.
Been in every conflict since World War I to today. The Browning M2 Browning 50 caliber machine gun has touched the battlefields of every major American conflict since the Second World War. Over the decades, the M2, affectionately known among troops as Ma Deuce, has proved to be a highly versatile weapon. It has seen action while affixed to the wings of P-47 Thunderbolts during World War II, installed on riverine boats patrolling the Mekong Delta, and mounted atop Humvees cruising the embattled streets of Mogadishu, Baghdad, and Kabul. I'm not sure I have to go any further, but I will.
Shit.
Having first entered the United States military arsenal in the 1930s, the Maudus remains to this day an extremely effective and widely used tool of war. But why is that so? How has the M2 Browning managed to outlast all other American weapon systems? The simple answer, and I'm going to end it with this, it's a damn good machine gun.
You better give credit to whoever authored that article. That was
No
some
shit.
deep-
I thought you were going to lose it just by boring everybody.
Okay. Okay. Matt Fratis, December 9th, 2022. Great guy, knows his guns.
Golly. All right.
Well, without the M2, you'd never get your check your headspace and timing either. So, you never get that phrase anymore. Right?
Check
Well,
this.
anytime you're going to load on an aircraft, Seth, I'm sure, is familiar with the sniper version. That's the badass gun, shoots a long ways. Not sure I have a rival in this battle tonight.
All right. I got the Maxim machine gun, which
Oh,
is the original. Yeah. The original, the one that all these other competitors are based upon, right? Right before, okay, I don't have an article to read through, but unlike Eric,
Hey, I came prepared tonight.
the Ma was based on the Maxim. So, and it came out after just before it or just after World War One, right? Or
that's
in
a
the middle of
water.
World
The Maxim's a water cooled one, right?
the water cooled one, but he's
Circles the
actually
barrel.
in effect used in the Spanish American War, and then all the way up World War One, World War Two, Korea. Even they just found one being in use in Ukraine.
Holy shit!
It's been tearing up ass this whole time, and it's still in use by multiple countries.
Damn.
And the list of conflicts that it's been in is just ridiculous. So it's not the greatest, it's not the biggest caliber, but it's been retrofitted multiple times to fit the environment.
Well, I know in World War One, the Maxim was what set the ground for no man's land. Because you couldn't
Absolutely.
walk out of a ditch into no man's land and not expect to be rippled by.
That's right. The Maxim did do that, but then the BAR came in and turned the tide. So that's all I'm saying.
All right, good call.
I don't want to go into it, but the 50 does stop armor, engine blocks kind of thing. Light armor has no place in front of a Maudus. So, yeah.
All right, Rob and Seth, it's up to you. It's over to you.
Okay, my number one is none of your guys' number one, but there's a very clear and precise reason.
We didn't have it in the article.
I was very conflicted on my number two. So my number two is Rob's number one and Eric's number one. There's my three. So and it was a toss-up, Maudus or Rob's number one. My number one is the fucking Warthog for a couple reasons. One, it's glorious and badass. And two, no man has to fucking carry it.
It is electric. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Gal 850 cal. That's a good gun too.
Yeah.
I thought Jake would choose the Gal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the Gal. I worked on the smaller Gal and the Gal 8 when I worked on the A10s. So it was always impressive.
Don't those things shoot like Pepsi cans?
Yeah, they're freaking huge. You stand up.
Oh shit!
He's
He's
gonna show you
going visual aid.
You're
on
not
us.
supposed to have an A10 in your house, bro.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
exactly.
God damn.
Is that a 20 millimeter? Is that
No,
what that
it is not.
Now,
time.
now, is that your concealed carry, or do you open carry that, or
Just
I
the
mean,
home
what do you-
defense. Just-
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
That's his
Is that-
mom.
keep that in the truck just in case something pops up. I mean, how's that work?
He vapes through that.
Exactly.
With a screwdriver and a hammer. Here,
Be a
asshole.
badass vape, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's how you become a vampire killer.
I had to keep something.
Yeah,
in that,
right.
my time with it.
All right, what do you
Oh,
think,
baby.
Rob?
I mean, first of all, so Marty, our grandparents were badasses, dude. And you had a hell of a sales pitch. It was extremely impressive. So, Marty and Jake, you guys had excellent sales. I like what you did there. Big fan of the nostalgia. I like what you did. However, Eric, I gotta agree, man. I'm with you on that one. That there's one of those, like, it's timeless. Our grandkids will be firing Ma Deuce.
Absolutely.
It's as close to perfection as you can get. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's unchanged.
I knew he was gonna win it with the M2, right? Yeah, the fact that it's still in service today, is shit.
But I mean, you have a field here on this show heavily weighted towards the Air Force, and neither of you guys took the gun on the A-10.
I didn't take it because I thought I thought our aviation armament guy would do it, but he threw us a curveball and chose the Maxim. So, all right, Ma Deuce it is.
I think the minigun would have been the only one that would have gave Ma Deuce because of the rate of fire and the platforms that you can fire that damn thing on.
Look what it did in Predator.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It was man portable at that point in time.
Yeah, ask Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, he did have it, right. Then Arnold picked it up.
He ain't got time to bleed, so.
Okay, let's I think this is end up. So Seth has got to go. So we'll call it end up right here.
It's horrible every time.
I know. And it gets worse every time. End up.
Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for letting us be a part of this. This is horrible. This is absolutely awful, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Right on.
Well, as soon as we go off the air here, I'm immediately calling the FCC to let them know that you guys exist. And yeah. So you get a knock on the door in about an hour. Just, hey,
that's perfect.
Keep your hands where you can see them.
That's perfect.
Well, on behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And as always, make sure to download the next episode for more service headline news. Rob and Seth, thanks loads, man, for sitting in and cracking wise. We'll put all their links in the bio, in the notes, so you guys can go out and see the great things that they're doing. Men, thanks for the week, and I'll see you next week.
Cool. Nice. Rob, Seth, pleasure to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
Nice as well.
Nice to meet you again. Fun. Yeah, let us know whenever you want us back.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Appreciate it.